Now it's time for the third session. Let me call upon the moderator of the third session, Dr. V. Ganapati. Let me call upon Dr. V. Ganapati sir onto the dais. It's time to welcome the first speaker of the third session, Dr. S. Ajayan.
இறைவா, மந்திரமாவதும் மாமருந்தாவதும் தந்திரமாகுவதும் தானங்கள் ஆகுவதும் சுந்தரமாகுவதும் தூய நெறியாகுவதும் ஈசன் எந்தன் இணையடி நிழலை. மதிப்பிற்கும் மரியாதைக்கும் உரிய இந்த நிகழ்வை செவ்வனே நடத்தி கொண்டிருக்கின்ற சீடு ட்ரஸ்டினுடைய அனைத்து பொறுப்பாளர்களுக்கும் அங்கத்தினர்களுக்கும் வாழ்நாள் சாதனையாளர் விருது பெற்ற எங்களுடைய மூலிகை வழிகாட்டி மரியாதைக்குரிய டாக்டர் ஐயா செல்லத்துறை அவர்களுக்கும் பல்வேறு இடங்களிலிருந்து வருகை புரிந்துள்ள மாணவ மாணவியர்கள், வைத்திய பெருந்தகைகள், ஆய்வியல் வல்லுநர்கள் அனைவர்களுக்கும் இந்த நேரத்திலே நெஞ்சார்ந்த நன்றியை தெரிவித்துக் கொண்டு 2 நிமிடம் துளிகள் மட்டுமே இந்த களத்தை பயன்படுத்தி கொள்ள ஆவல். ஒரு துறை அல்லது நிறுவனத்தினுடைய குறை என்பது அது தன்னைத்தானே வளர்த்து கொள்ளாத ஒரு நிலை. இதை டாக்டர் MS உதயமூர்த்தி ஐயா அவர்கள் நாங்கள் மாணவர்களாக இருக்கும்போது கூறி சென்ற வார்த்தைகள். நினைத்து பாருங்கள், ஒரு துறையையோ அல்லது நிறுவனத்தையோ வளர்த்து கொள்வதற்கு அரசு மட்டுமே முன்வர வேண்டும் என்றால் இன்று பல்வேறுபட்ட துறைகளினுடைய நிலை மிகுந்த கேள்விக்குறி. இத்தகைய நிலையில் சீடு என்ற அமைப்பின் மூலமாக அன்றைய வருடத்தில் பயின்ற அனைத்து மாணவ மாணவர்கள் இணைந்து இன்றைக்கு பெரும் மருத்துவர்களாகி வழிநடத்துகின்ற திறம் வாய்ந்த விருட்சங்களாக இன்று இந்த நிகழ்வை செவ்வனை நடத்தி கொண்டிருக்கின்றார்கள். ஏற்கனவே நம்ம சொன்னது மாதிரி 1 மணி நேரம் லேட்டு. எனக்கு டாக்டர் அனுபாஷின் அவர்கள் பேசுறதுக்கு அப்புறம் பயந்தே போயிட்டேன். சித்த வைத்தியத்தினுடைய பெரிய நம்பிக்கையாக இருக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு மூலிகைக்கு கடைசியில் 2 ஆட்டம்பாம்பை போட்ட மாதிரி போட்டார். தயவுசெய்து ஒரு தனிப்பட்ட மூலிகையை எடுத்து ஆய்வு செய்து அவர்கள் இன்றைக்கி வெளியே போட்டிருக்கிறாங்க. ஆனால் கூட்டு மருந்தாக பல மருந்துகளாக ஆக்கும்போது இன்னும் பண்ண வேண்டிய ஆய்வுகள் அதிகமாக இருக்குங்கிற ஒரு சின்ன தகவலையும் இந்த நேரத்தில் நம்ம பகிர்ந்து கொள்ள கடமைப்பட்டிருக்கிறோம். இப்போ இந்த செஷனில் 2 பெரிய வல்லுநர்கள் சிறப்புரையாற்ற இருக்கிறாங்க. சார், மணி எப்பவுமே 4:30 மணி. இந்த 2 வல்லுநர்கள் பேசினாங்கன்னா 6:30 மணி 7 மணி ஆயிருமே. நான் வெளியூர்லேருந்து வந்திருக்கேன், என்ன செய்யலாம் அப்படிங்கிற நிலை இருக்கும். இதுக்கு பதிலாக நான் வந்திருக்கின்ற 2 சிறப்பு விருந்தினர்கிட்டே விட்டுருந்தேன். ஏன் அப்படின்னோம்னா, சொல்ல வேண்டிய கருத்துக்களை அவங்களும் இந்த உரிய நேரத்திற்குள்ளாக நம்ம முடிக்கப்பட வேண்டும் நோக்கத்தோடு முதல் கட்டமாக டாக்டர் எஸ் அஜயன் மிகப்பெரிய ஒரு பாரம்பரிய குடும்பத்தை சார்ந்த ஒரு ஆயுர்வேத மருத்துவர். கிட்டத்தட்ட இவருடைய தாத்தா பத்மஸ்ரீ கேசவ நாடார் சுவாமிகள் மர்ம சிகிச்சையில் மிக தலை சிறந்து விளங்கின ஒரு குடும்பத்தினர். ட்ரிவாண்ட்ரம் ஆயுர்வேத மெடிக்கல் காலேஜில் இந்த மர்ம சிகிச்சையினுடைய துறையில் ஹெட் ஆஃப் தி டிபார்ட்மெண்ட்டாக இருந்தவங்க. அந்த பாரம்பரியத்திலிருந்து வெளிவந்துள்ள டாக்டர் எஸ் அஜயன் அவர்களை இந்த மேடைக்கு அழைக்கின்றேன்.
Let me call upon Dr. R. Rajadurai sir onto the dais.
ஸோ இவர்களை பற்றி ஒரு சில நிமிடங்கள். தன்னுடைய பிஏஎம்எஸ் ஆயுர்வேத படிப்பை மங்களூர் பல்கலைக்கழகத்தில் முடிச்சுட்டு எம்டி ஆயுர்வேதம் இதை கர்நாடகா ராஜீவ்காந்தி யூனிவர்சிட்டி அங்கே ஹெல்த் சயின்ஸில் துறையில் முடித்து பிஹெச்டி ராஜஸ்தானில் முடித்து தற்பொழுது ப்ரொஃபஸர் இன் டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் ஆஃப் திரவிய குண விஞ்ஞானா பாலக்காடு அஷ்டாங்கம் ஆயுர்வேத வித்யாபீடம் பாலக்காட்டில் இருக்கக்கூடிய இதில் பணிபுரிஞ்சிட்டு இருக்கக்கூடிய மிகப்பெரிய பாரம்பரியம் சார்ந்த ஆயுர்வேத மருத்துவர். தன்னுடைய ஆய்வு விருப்பமாக மர்ம சிகிச்சைகளையும் நாட்டுப்புற வழக்காற்று மருத்துவ முறைகளும் தான் முக்கியத்துவமாக இருக்குங்கிறத வெளிப்படையாக நமக்கு எடுத்துரைக்கிறாங்க. ஸோ அவர்களை இந்த நேரத்தில் வருக வருக என்று வரவேற்றுக்கொண்டு அவர்களுடன் இணைந்து டாக்டர் கே.ஆர். ராஜதுரை அவர்கள் கிள்ளிகுளம் அக்ரிகல்ச்சர் வேளாண் கல்லூரியிலிருந்து பல்கலைக்கழகத்திலிருந்து வந்திருக்கிறாங்க. ஸோ அவர்களை பற்றி நாம் பேச வேண்டியிருக்கு. முதல் கட்டமாக டாக்டர் எஸ். விஜயன் அவர்கள் சிறப்புரையாற்று வருமாறு அன்புடன் அழைக்கின்றேன்.
So respected chairpersons, the most respected gurus, most respected doctors and friends. So today I am here to share some of the informations regarding the plants and its uses to the human community. Not only the human community, the whole world, the whole earth, all depends upon the plants. So with all of your permission, I am going to start the section. Essential plant sources for human health. You know that the two kingdoms, plant kingdom and animal kingdom. So the plant kingdom is the most essential part on this earth to provide the life, the sustainability of life. So that impart a great role in ecosystem. So the balance of the ecosystem making the life more wealthful and healthful. So we can see how much it is useful in the life of earth. Om Guruve Namaha. Om Sadguruve Namaha. Om Prabanja Shaktiyaya Namaha. So please forgive me, I don't know to speak in Tamil, so I will speak a little bit in English. So when we see the earth, earth is a very beautiful blue globe that provides so many things. So how it is possible? This much of diversity is in earth. So this much of diversity in earth is possible because of a specific area we are placed in the solar system. So you can see that earth is the third planet from the sun. And after that also we have so many planets. We have earth and the same time we have a moon. So the heat and a cold, sun and the moon influencing a specific type of heat and cold balance in earth. That's why earth has having a very diversity of life resources. If you see the blue globe, why it is like blue? Because the earth surface is covered with 71% of water and 21% of oxygen. So the various types of bioresources that present in the earth making the life more diversity even in the seas and in the land. Likewise, if you are looking, you can see that the most diversity of the things are taking place in a line, that is the equatorial line, almost middle of the globe. So there also you can see that there will be a balancing of heat and cold. On both the polar areas you can see that it is freezed and it is ice. So this shows that if a life is essential, a diversity of life is essential, then there should be a balancing of heat and cold. If such a diversity is there in the water or in the land, we can see that plenty of diversity in plants and microorganisms and all levels of life. So whatever the rainforest is there, all are near to the equator line. And even in the sea also, the same thing. If you look into such a type of diversity in the human body, you can see that at the middle part where we are saying that it is the pitta area, that is the area where we can generating so many metabolites and other things. If you see the liver, spleen and like organisms, that will be converting and spreading into all the part of the body. That is the place where what we call as the pitta or the agni is residing. So such a diversity is seen in the universe, and such a diversity is seen in inner body of ourself also. So that's why the most important resources for a life and its sustainability is air, water, land, temperature and the time. So a specific time is needed, a specific base is needed, a specific resources are needed. So there will be two type of things are occurring. One is a biotic thing and a abiotic thing. One which is not having the life and another which is having the life. So both these are synchronously mixing together to produce a life. So you can see that in the photo one plant is there. So you all know about Ajuganni, one of the divine plant that is mentioned in the Siddha system. This is the Ajuganni. Where it is occurring? It is occurring on a rocky area where very less resources are there. Only 1 or 2 centimeters of sand is residing on the rock, and on that rock water is coming. On that time, on the rainy season only the plant will come out. What is the specialty of this plant? When a plant is growing in such a very less resources availability, there they want some adaptations. They are not getting the proper resources. For that, getting that resources, they turned into an insectivorous plant. They will producing the enzymes, and that will digest it, the plant, the animal material, the insects, and then they will take it off. That make the plant more cultivable for a particular therapeutic property. So if this plant, if you are consuming, then it can produce a Agni Tattvam inside our body, a hot Tattvam inside our body. So it can shrink out the masses, unwanted masses or the structures inside the body. So this observation of our Acharyas from the nature that Drosera indica, an insectivorous plant that can catch the insect and digest the insect and suck out the nutritions, they found that if something is happening inside our body which is unwanted and we want to shrunken out it or digesting it out, it is very useful. The most astonishing fact is, we know that Chitragam, Plumbago Silanica, Koduveli. So Koduveli, it is having the plumbagin. So where we are using the plumbagin? Plumbagin we are using for shrinking the structures, fibroids or something is there, we were using that one. The same plumbagin is residing in this. So this shows that how much broadness is there in our Acharya's thought. Observe the things from the nature and convert it into the another level and using in the medicines. So when you study the material, when you look and analyze the material, please look our Acharya's way of thoughts and observations. That will open up new horizons for the new discoveries. So here it is clearly indicating that a particular environment is needed for each and every life. Likewise, human beings also need a peculiar type of environment according to the topography where you are living. If you are living in the Tirunelveli, you need a particular type of environment. If you are living in the Nilagiri, you need a particular type of environment. Why? Because you need a peculiar type of land, peculiar type of water, peculiar type of airflow, and a peculiar type of balancing of heat and cold. Who will provide all these things? All these things can be provided by the plants only. So in that aspect, if you are looking into the plants, you can see that plant will influence your life in all aspects to protect your environment and supply the needful thing for a proper environment balance. Second thing is, it will give you food which is very essential for your proper health and balance. Third thing only comes the medicines. So we believing that prevention is better than cure. For that purpose, we have to think about the environment first. If your water is impure, if your air is impure, if your land is impure, there is no need of any medicines. You need so much of medicines continuously. Without medicine, you can't live. So we are telling that, all Maritums are telling that we want to prevent the disease first, then we will treat. So in that aspect, truly if you want to do in every aspect, you have to first look into the environmental protection and other things. For that, our Acharyas are, our Gurus are given so many examples and so many things in the form of various types of cultures. So just we can go through some of the cultural things in a scientific way, how they are executed in the form of a belief or some prayers like that. So if you see, one of the important scenario we all has to think, the air quality index in the world is specified. On that, India is one of the poorest air quality index land. India is placing 5th, especially in Delhi and some Chandigarh like areas, their air quality index, sorry, Chandigarh no, Kanpur like area is, air quality is increased so much. So most of them are suffering with numerous types of lung related disorders, heart related disorders and brain related disorders, because of this air quality index is reducing. So there are so many microparticles are present in the environment that will provide hazardness to the major organs of our body and same time to the children's. So it's a very important that we have to look into the correct providing of the air. So some of the Ayurvedic test is mentioning that if air is polluted, what will happen? There will be a growth retardation in the plants will be observed, proper origin of flowers and strengthening of the seeds will be not taking place. So if the plants are not having the proper strength of the seeds, the germination will not be possible. So then afterwards it will lead to a depletion of the flora and it will be providing a less number of floral species. That's why nowadays we are getting out with so many flora species are going on, extincting. Each and every minute it is extinct. So such type of factors we have to look into that. Even in the Vedas it is told that it is essential to protect our land. They are considered that as Mada Bhumi. So earth is like Bhumi is the mother and father is the other things that will be there. So such type of resources caring we can see in all our traditional and epics books also. Even a Vana Parvam is mentioned in the Mahabharatam, that telling about there will be so much essential need to protect the foresters and the associated things. So in that aspect, if you are seeing a plant, you can see that. When I came to Tirunelveli also, I saw that just everywhere a alu or a peral is there. So why that much of importance are given to these ala and peral by our acharyas? So if you see that this is a plant which provide an ideal environment for an ecosystem. If you look into this plant, you can see that the plant has a buttressed root system. So that we can see in the surface, and there will be a woody part and then the big canopy on the upper part. So if you see on the lower aspect, there will be two type of roots are there. One is the fibrous roots and a buttressed roots. So the fibrous roots is completely under the ground, and above that there will be buttressed roots. So what happens means when the rain comes, the water will be lodging on that particular area and a particular amount of water will be stored in that particular place. That's why when you go to a field of these particular areas, on the middle of the field you can see a ficus. Or in the village near to a pond or near to a well, common well in the panchayat, you can see a ficus, because this ficus can retain and hold this water. One more specificity is the root within 5 to 10 years, they will decay. Under the earth there will be decay that take place, and that decaying will providing a sponge like thing on the roots. The dead roots will act as a sponge, and that also will hold the water. And the 365 days these water will be drawn to the sideways. So what happens when the land is wet and the upper part there will be a canopy is there, just like an umbrella, and the lower land is wet, you can feel when you stand on that particular land a particular type of coldness. So if you are able to feel such a type of coldness, under the ground there are a specific type of organics biodiversity is there. Even so much of fungus, bacteria and so many things will be there living with a symbiotic things. Actually this symbiotic thing will help the soil a very good fertilizer to that particular area also. So the groundwater harvesting and the sustainable release of the groundwater is taken care by this tree. And secondly, if you look in the stem system, you can see that the stems are having so much small hole like things and small pillars like things. So small reptiles, small insects, small other creatures will residing on that, and it will provide a sustainedness. And the upper canopy is producing so much of leaves. So these leaves will help to balance the oxygen level. And when the winds will coming, especially in these areas, there will be a dry winds with the dust. So these dust and that hot air will be stopped and slowly released to the other areas. So in such a way, this plant can produce so many things. And you can see the fruits. So if you cut open this fruit, you can see the upper part there will be male flowers and the lower female flowers. So a particular opening is also there. Each ficus tree need each particular type of wasp, cardinal wasp. So the wasp only can enter into a particular species of wasp can only enter to this ficus and can fertilize. Then only the seed will produce. So these types of ficus and specific type of diversity is present. So morning sir has told that there will be 60 different types of ficus is there in these areas, Tirunelveli areas. So such a type of diversity, how it is existing? Because that much of different types of wasp and insect is there. So when such a fruit is ripening in thousands, there are so many birds will come. So what the birds will come? The birds will come to eat it, but they are coming from so many other places to eat it. So they will come with so many seeds in their feces and it will be dropped in the surroundings. So these types of ficuses are called as keystone species. So if you want to regenerate a particular flora or a forest in a particular area, these keystone species has to be placed there so that so many other new flora will be coming into existence. That's why this will be made in the form of a divine thing. Mulado Brahma Rubaya. So why this is will be holding so much of living diversities. Then Madhyamo Vishnu Rubaya. It will be a sustainability. And upper there will be so many oxygens, so that it is a Shiva Rubaya. Vriksha Rajo Namostude. So it is called as the Vriksha Raja, and we are bowing to that Vriksha for providing all these things. Dear friends, recently 1 year back the Supreme Court has appointed one committee that to estimate the amount of a tree which is growing for 100 years. And they found that the tree which provides 72 lakhs approximately if it grow for 100 years. Not that 72 lakhs. More than that much of economic value is there. So it is our duty that all young doctors are there to tell the persons that these trees are very important to our ecosystem. Whenever it is near to a well or whenever it is near to the ponds or a temple or other places, don't cut it or don't make it into a cement blocks and other things and these things. Because the concept of adopting all these things for so much good purpose, that is having a very big economic value. Likewise, if you are seeing another quotation is from the Vriksha Ayurvedam. It is telling that Dasha Kupa Samavabi, 10 wells are equal to 1 pond. Then Dasha Vabi Samohrida, 10 small ponds are equal to 1 big Jalashaya. Then Dasha Hrida Samoputra, 10 Jalashayas, big water bodies are equal to 1 Putra. And 10 Putras are equal to 1 tree. That much of value is there. So they are estimated the value of such a thing in the thousands of years back and incorporated in our cultures. Unfortunately, what the time has made means our studying pattern and our understanding patterns in our culture made these things in a very pathetic way. So it is the time to recognize that what importance these types of things are influencing to our environment. Like that. So nowadays we may put these tulasi in the form of a plastic even. Why the tulasi is placed in front of the door itself? Some of the studies are showing that some of the unwanted rays that can absorbed by these types of things. And it is one synonym in Sanskrit is apeta rakshasi. It can keep away the rakshasas from there. Rakshasa means what? Rakshasas means microorganisms, small creatures that can't be seen through our eyes is termed as rakshasas. So these can be keep away from this. How it is possible? Because it is a smell giving leaf. So something which is emitting from that plant material, then you can sure that some volatile principles is always emitting from this plant. So these types of volatile principles helps something like mosquitoes and other things away from our house. So such types are, and you know that so many medicinal qualities are there, it can be used as a home remedy. That is why also it is. So whenever you have a sore throat, you can take easily from your house if it is there. So if you have a tulasi tara in front, you can utilize for various purposes. That is also one of the things. So like this, environmentally and medicinally very important. This plant, you can see that nowadays in highways, they are planting this. Why? They have a scientific background. because this plant can able to absorb the lead and unwanted heavy metals that is emitting from the vehicles. So that's why if they are planting there, then it will be absorbed and it will be converted into something and expelled through the dried leaves. So these types of things now scientists are calling as phytoremediations. So phytoremediation is not possible with some machines or other things. For that we need the plants which can absorb these types of unwanted material and convert it into another thing and will be excreting it. So for all these purpose, the plants are essential, the arali or tulasi like things, and even it is a medicine too, that you know that. And the vepu, this is also one of the important thing in the tropical countries and the dry lands, where you feel that there are so much of wind and dust will be there, it has to be there. And the sulfur content is also there. That will help to keep away the microorganisms inside our body and outside our body. So most of the houses of old traditional houses of Tamil or in North India, if you are going, near to the cow shed, they are placed one neem. Because that neem has having that much of medicinal quality to these domestic animals what they are living, and the same time the blowing of the wind from through this neem to the house, that will also help to give some medicaments. So by looking in all the aspects of minute level, our acharyas are put forth certain regimens. Even in the mango also we can see such type of things. So these regimens are mentioned in this way. If you are planting a tulasi, you will reach Vaigunda Prapti. If you are planting an arayal, you will reach Vishnu Loka Prapti. Nelli, if you are planting, then Yaga Prapti. Then Vada, Shivaloka Prapti, Vepu, Surya Loka Prapti, Mavu, Klesha Nashana for 14 generations. So these are not imagined. You can do these things in your life itself. So if you are planting a mango tree in your house, next 14 generations will enjoy the fruit of that. That's why it is mentioned like that. So like that, if you are looking, if you are planting a vepu, you can't affect it with any heat related disorders. Pitta or Rekta related disorders, vepu is very effective. That is why you will reach the Shivaloka Prapti, not in another world. You can accept it in our world itself. Like that, so many concepts is there. Nakshatra Vrikshas, 27 star trees, Graha Vrikshas, Rashi Vrikshas, Desha Pushpas. Why these concepts are came? These are having a peculiar type of psycho-social, somatic goodness to our body and mind. That's why they are placed in like this. So this is the another concept. If one is planting a ficus religiosa, arayal one arayal, one vepu, one peral, and 10 puli, Tamarindus indicus, and 3 Vlarangai, 3 Villua, 3 Nelli, 5 Mavu, and 5 Tengu. If one is planting these types of numbers of trees, then he will not reach Naragam Nayadi. So one has able to provide all these things in a place, then they can provide a very good ecosystem of harmony. If you are seeing, the first 3 plants will provide an environmental balance. The second, all the plants are food and medicines. So you can use it in the form of a food and medicines. So such a type of ecological balance is highlighted by our acharyas. It is not the simple thing. You look the value of our traditions. And we have to bother about such traditions and spread to the local peoples and the others that these types of concept has to be adopted in each and every villages. If you look, if you go to the villages, temples, these all concepts are adopted. Unfortunately, because of the modernizations, we changing all these things in a different way. So we have to tell that these are the importance of this. And like that, this is the Nakshatra Vriksha. If you want, you can refer Rajadigandu. English translations are available. The whole Rajadigandu is, one chapter is mentioning about these Nakshatra Vrikshas. Because of the time, unable to. And another thing is the freshwater ecosystem. One of the important and depleting ecosystem in our country is the freshwater ecosystem. Especially if you look into the scenario of Nagarkovil, Tirunelveli like areas, the freshwater ecosystem is completely eradicating. What happening? If a water body is flowing, a stream is flowing between the field, what they will do? They will bring some big stones from somewhere and using the cement they will plaster it. So it will depleting all the side-wise ecosystems. So the crabs can't be live there, the fishes can't breed on a particular area. So the ecosystem completely will going out. So if you want a pal nyandu, if you want to take for a medicine, if this ecosystem is not there, the pal nyandu will be not be provided. So we will go for some other species for that. So like that, if you look into these ecosystems, you can see so many indigenous plants that is very much essential to purify the water. In photos you are seeing a Legionandra ovata. In Malayalam we will call it as Kinar Kuva or Thotil Kuva. So this is a kuva-like plant. So it's having a plenty of rhizomes. A recent study in the agriculture college in Thrissur, they found that if the plant is growing in the well or in the water body, it can balance the Escherichia coli bacteria. So nearly 60 to 70% of Escherichia coli bacteria can be balanced simply by this plant. So like that, the natural plants and their activity with the non-living things like water and land are very essential, and we have to look into this fact. Like that, all the things that is existing in the universe is having a miniature in your body also. So that's why the Agastya Muni has told that Parappa, Tegathil, Mannumundu, Parijanuda, Jalamundu, Tiyumundu, all the abiotic physical things like Mannu, Jalam or Tea, all are lie in your body. Chirappa, Agashamundu, Vayundu, Ardalam, Vidumundu. So you have 6 weeds inside our body as a chakras. Then Nerappa, Pattanam, Monamundu. You have a Kavasthanam, you have a Vadasthanam and a Pippasasanam. Where a hot house area, where a cold house area and a flowing area. That is the Moor Pattanamundu. Nigadipetta Arum Kulavumundu. You have a heart, you have a liver, you have some pancreas like things where there will be a flowing will be taking place. Some are stagnating, something like a urinary bladder like this. So yes, streams are there, rivers are there, then some of the lakes are there, so many things are there. So like that, if you want, you can observe the vilakku in your brain also. And then, Vendidorku Pushpamadu Puvumundu. So if you want to see the flowers and other things, you can highlight it in your brain. So that shows that so many things that will be existing in the nature, you can observe these inside our body. So these types of observation only will provide an ideal balance of mind and body in your ecosystem also. Like that, when we are looking, we can see that another important part is the ahara. After environment, you have to think about the food. Which food you have to take. So the morning Swaminathan sir has took a very beautiful class on 6 types of rasas. So there is no need of going into that. So I will tell that these 6 rasas has which one you have to take. We have plenty of rasas. You can get a rasa of different sweet things that produced by multinational companies to take by you continuously. But which one is the ideal rasa you have to take? If you want to take the ideal rasas, you have to think about the Madhura rasa, Inippu. If you want Inippu, you have to take the Gudam, Thala Gudam, Panasharkara. Or if you want to take the Sharkara from the Karibu. Or if you want to take an ideal Madhuram, you have to take from ghee. This is the 3 things. From among these 3 things, you have to take the Madhura rasa. Not the sugar what you are getting nowadays. We have to specifically adopt this. Next you look at the sour taste. So the amlam, which amla you have to take? From the Nellikai or the Madala or from the Takra, Moru. These is the ideal thing. So a very important probiotic thing is existing in our Moru. That Moru can provide so many things to our body. That is the essential amla that what we have to take. If you want to take a salty, Kalluppu we have to take, rock salt. That is the only salt which is ideal for our body. Induppu. So like that, if you see the pungent taste, karam, chukku or kurumulagu is the necessary thing. Because these are the 2 things which will be ideal for a topographical place where it will be balancing the certain things that existing in our mind. That's why chukku is called as universal medicine. So why the foreigners came to India to loot our properties? Because of this karta ponnu, pepper and these types of spices. Because they know that these spices are very important for the balancing of the Agni inside our body. So for digestive purposes, this is one of the best thing. And see, our acharyas, always we are aversion to the kaipu. We will not take the bitter things. So the ideal bitter things lies in our haridra. That's why we are incorporating these tiktarasam in everywhere. So this tiktarasa is a favorable one. And if you look the astringent, astringent taste, Tamil? So that tuvarappu, if you want, you can get from the malli and jeeragam like things. So likewise, if you are selecting these things at least in your diet per day, why our sambar is, or why our avial is these has, all these things are concept to make an avial or a sambar. So every these rasas will be coming on that, and that will providing an ideal balanced diet. So this ideal balanced diet will helps to provide sarvarasa abhyaso balagaranam. If you take properly these 6 rasas, it will impart the balagaranam. That's the Charagajare is telling that. So this is the concept we need. So if you take a sambar from Tirunelveli and if you take a sambar from Madura, it is different. Why? They are aware about that. Sometimes we need more Madura rasas in the Tirunelveli area because Vada is more predominant in sometimes. So we want to pacify that. That's why that diversity is came. Not simply. So by close observation like that, each and every food has having such an adaptation. That's why always look into the traditional food habits. So these traditional food habits are very much important in our life. Our best grain is the shali. The rice is the best grain. So this is the place where the land in the South Peninsular India, the most ideal rices are occurring. So you should have to proud of that. From here this is going on. So why? Because you have such a diversity of rivers and flatlands. That much of fertile land is there, and fertile land with water, proper water drainaging from the Agastya hills and other places. So such things we have to sustain for the future generations of to come. Otherwise, it will be in a very dangerous situations. Likewise, if you are seeing the oils what we are using nowadays, we all are found up with the palm oil or some other oils from the other things, because the companies are promoting such a like things that they are telling that this is good for heart and other things. And if you see this coconut, a scientist in America, he has worked about 30 to 40 years in the coconut oil, and he found that this is the only one oil which is having the medium chain fatty acids that will be very useful for your heart and body. And they found another more thing is, in the coconut metal, one chemical constituents allurine-like acid, which is only found in the breast milk. So that type of things are very good things that is given by the nature is there, and we are always forgiving about using of these things, and it will lead to various types of things. And another important thing is, this coconut oil has having an antiviral properties also. So you can see that if you're in the Tamil culture or South Indian culture, you can see that it is a habit of taking fresh coconut oil or castor oil or tilathaila, ellanai. Even in a particular month, particular date, surely the elders will tell that you take ellanai for this purpose, because that has having such a property to pacify the important things that is happening inside our body. And some of the things, Vallare, you know that Vallare is very good for this memory boosting and other things. A recent study in the WHO, if you go to the monograph of medicinal plants by WHO and click the Central Asiatica, you can see that this plant has having a very good healing effect from your mouth to the anal region. So it is having a very good influence on the mucous membrane of your oral cavity, stomach and the intestines. So that is also one of the important things. That is why the most of the places Vallari soups are there to promote such a type of things. Not only a memory booster, it is having such a very important thing inside our body also. Like that, the various types of leafy vegetables like Agastikirai, Muringai, all these are having a rich vitamin and other things. So if we reduce these consuming of such type of vegetables, then that will lead to the different problems in our digestive systems. Because our digestive system is such a diverse thing and needs so many micro resources for the digestions. So if you are not consuming these things in our food, then what will happen? Our digestive system will be hampered, and we can see that irritable bowel syndrome like that, and some of the gastric problems will be there, and ultimately what the patient will come across with the deficiency of vitamin D. And most of them are having a less vitamin D. Not only we are covering the dresses, but our digestive things are also hampering such a way that can not able to synthesize the proper vitamin D. Likewise, Ishangu. This is one of the important and common plant in these areas, Kanyakumari, Tirunelveli, all these Madurai, everywhere you can see. this is one of the best edible leaf, especially for the nerves. So after the pregnancy, when the delivery is occurring, the first thing what it is giving in the Nagarkovil, after Nagarkovil, the areas like Parashala and Trivandrum is this one. This will be, the leaf will be taken and mixed with the Gouda and rice and make it into a jaggery like things, a legume like things, and that will be giving. So the recent studies found that it can able to give the regeneration of the nerve tissues, especially the myelin sheath of the nerves. So like that, so many unexplored factors are there. Another is the Thuduvila. So Thuduvila rasam is one of the favorite thing in the Coimbatore areas. So this is one of the best thing in the present scenario, because it is having a very good polyphenolic acids and glycoalkaloids. These has having a broad spectrum bacteria, antibacterial activity. So not that, nowadays you know that because of the viral infections, not that much of problem. But after that coming the bacterial infection making the problem more worse. So in such conditions, we can promote an ideal environment that will not provide a favorable growth for the microorganisms. Like that, the next main important part is the medicine and the nature. If you see that, so Sarah has just before presented an important plant, Andrographis paniculata. It's a 2-bitter plant. So you all are observed this Andrographis paniculata. Are you ever seen that the leaf of Andrographis paniculata is eaten by any butterflies, larvae or anything? Why? Because it is having such a important chemical constituents that can promote these bitterness. So why the plant is producing this? Why the plant is producing this bitterness? Because the plant is want to sustain in that area with these chemical constituents. That's why the plant is producing this. If the chemical constituents is less in the plant, the other creatures will come and eat. So if you imagine that other creatures are away and you are growing that plant in a room where no creatures will affect, within 2 or 3 generations the plant will deplete its chemical constituents, because unnecessarily no plant will produce an energy. So that's why here if you are seeing, this is the Vayana. Vayana means that cinnamon. So cinnamon leaf is eaten by a larva, a colorful larva, and that will be converting into that. Tamil is being like that. So the butterfly needs certain poisonous pigments. That pigments is gathering from this cinnamon plant. So if the gathering of that such type of toxic pigments is there, then the predators will not eat these butterflies. So such type of a relation is there. So unfortunately, now we have these types of butterflies and they are laying their eggs in this and the worms will eat it and it will go. So if 2 or 3 generations, this butterfly is going and it will, the larva is not eating this, then may the plant will reduce these things. Like that, there is a complex mechanism of life interaction is existing in this. On this context, you have to think about the cultivation techniques. Nowadays, everyone is speaking of the medicinal plant cultivations. Where to cultivate, how to cultivate. We have to make a plan. Simply a greenhouse is making and cultivating means it will not yield such type of chemical constituents, because such a complexity of Panchapaudigatvam is needed for that proper growth and other. If the interactions of good and ideal quality Panchapaudigatvam, then only the Rasa, Guna, Virya, all things will come. Otherwise, it will not come. So on these context also, we have to propagate that certain plant has to be grown in certain place where it is occurring, looking into the climatic conditions. So morning, Sir has told about the Kaltamare. If you growing Kaltamare in some other place, it will not having that much of good quality. So the quality thing is needed. We have to promote this in their ecosystem in that place. So in such way also we have to look into these aspects. Likewise, this is the Kallur Vanji. So where this Kalluriki, Rotula aquatica is growing. Rotula aquatica is growing in a particular environment where there will be a fast current of water is flowing. So if the current of water is, these photos are taken in the dry season, in the March from the Idamalaya. So if the water is coming in the 2 or 3 feet height in a very fast current, the plant will go off. So the plant, what they will do? They will put strong roots by breaking the stones and it will dig out on that and they will sustain. That types of dignessing property of that plant, making the breaking of the stones inside our body. So if it is grown in some other place, this is not possible. So like that, in very minute aspect, there will be a balancing and interactions of the Panchapaudigatva and inside the life activity and the same time outside. That will influencing, and we have to look into such ecological aspect when you are looking in the plants. Likewise, this plant, agil, you know that it is a very good disinfectant, and nowadays we are using for fumigation and other things. How this medicament is happening? In Aclori agavalacha, that tree, simply the medicament is not growing or occurring. So if that tree is growing to 4 to 6 years, a fungus will affect this, the heartwood of the plant, a mycelium fungus. So if the mycelium fungus is affecting that heartwood, what the plant will do? Plant will produce a specific type of fixed oil like things that will repellent and kill the microorganisms. So that will become the medicines of human beings. So that's why if you see the Bible or a Quran or in other literatures, agaru is considered to be such a thing for fumigations and other things means because it will keep away the microorganisms in the air. And the same time, if you are consuming in the respiratory disorders agil, then it will help to get rid of the microorganisms inside our body. Aclori agalocha. Yes. Yes, it will take time, and it is growing in the northeast area only, Assam and that area. If you, nowadays you can see that Udu will be cultivating somewhere, that's also an agalora, and we are inserting something. But that plant which is growing in that particular area, then only it will help, and it will take such time also. So if we not giving the time also, the ideal thing will not occur. That's why in Rajanigandu, one lexicon is there in Sanskrit, it is telling that there will be a daha agaru, something which is an agaru which is applied in our body, it will produce daha, and something which is having an ideal agaru like this also. Likewise, if you are seeing that there will be a uniqueness of an macrosome and a microsome. So whatever the things existing in the outside, and that will be inside also. That's why our acharyas are told that andathil ullade pindam, pindathil ullade andam. So we have to see that even each and every micro elements, if it is in the form of a selenium or if in the form of a calcium or a copper like things, micro things that will be existing inside our body, the same thing is extracted from our acharyas from the plant things. So you can see that so many plants, Marimia emarginata, a plant which is called as Elichevi. That Elichevi has having a natural copper presence. So someone is losing a copper inside our body, we can balance that with these types of preparations with Elichevi. So like that, so many things are there. We are unexplored. So aptly, unexplored is the main area. 95% of our theories and our informations that available in the various parts of India, not in the Tamil or not in the Karnataka or in the Andhra or in Hindi, every part of the South Peninsular India and in the whole India, even in the Asia, we have millions of informations. So kindly, everyone has to open up to explore these types of things, knowledges in every aspects, not only in medicine. You can open up the scope in the research, you can open up in the scope of environmentalist, you can open up in the scope of a scientist, and all the levels the possibilities are there. So dear students, don't think that you are in a small system of medicines which will not providing that much of things. The future is very broad and you can explore like anything, because the world needs such a type of diversity of approaches. It is not lies on a single chemicals or other things. So many people are spending millions of dollars and their whole lifetime to extract one chemical. Then at last what will happen? That chemical will showing some another side effects, and that will be away from the market. If you see the case of Reserpine, the Reserpine is nowadays not using for the hypertension, because it will provide anxiety and depressions like other things if it is continuously used. But if you are using Sarpagandha, Ravolfia serpentina root like that, what the acharyas are used for some other purpose, it will not creating, because the life and the things is so much complex, the human beings can't able to assess by the present available modern research techniques. They have to come up with some other research techniques that can able to cope up all the essential needs for the things. So that's why you have to look into these aspects and look in the future, that we have to protect especially the plant system by creating microclimatic conditions with our traditional plants, not the Japan or foreign plants. We have to provide the private forest farms, botanical gardens, seed banks, home gardens like Ladagraham, Sarovaram. There are plenty of lakes are there in south area of Tamil Nadu. Each and every month we are losing the lakes. We don't know about the valuabilities of these lakes. Each lakes are connected by each water bodies. If you observe in your villages, you can see. So if once you are lost for all the generations thoughts that's supposed to come. So like that, Rishi Vanam, Nakshatra Vanam, like that, so many concepts are there. That's why our great Mahatma Gandhi is told that earth can provide enough to satisfy everyone, not everyone's need. So greed is the most important part. We are hampering the so many small hills of these plateaus. So these has to, as a type of greed is going on, that has to be stopped. And Ishavasyam idam sarvam yatkinchit. So what the thing you need at? What the essential thing that will be needed, that only you have to take. Don't take or overexploit any human beings or overexploit the nature. So thanking all of you. And I am very much thankful for Vanida Madam and all others for giving an opportunity to share some of the information and other things. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. It's time for break. Everyone is requested to assemble again in the hall within 5 minutes.